this should scare people who are in that industry, the health insurance industry, to slow their fucking roll with ripping people off and start making good on their commitments. Again, we don't need health insurance. It's not good for anything anymore. It's corrupt and evil.
Warning!
You're watching Dr. Todd Lee TV, where theoretically you could learn a bunch of cool shit.
Greetings, Earthlings. My name is Dr. Todd Lee, and if you're new to this channel, allow me to introduce myself. I am a medical doctor, an IFBB pro bodybuilder, a biochemist, and although I normally talk about bodybuilding-related issues, including sports performance pharmacology and HRT, this video is still relevant because it has to do with the healthcare industry, namely the most savage villains of the healthcare industry, the health insurance companies. So, for those of you who aren't aware, I'm going to present the information as I understand it. And please insert the word alleged wherever it belongs so that I'm not violating some laws, committing libel, etc. I will try to, but just keep in mind, I'm not pretending that I know every nuance of this case. I'm not the prosecutor or the defense attorney, but I will tell you what I think is going on. So Luigi Mangione was a bodybuilder who came from affluence, and he was in some type of accident and hurt his back, and that the health insurance company he was with denied his claim, and he was suffering, and that this prevented him from engaging in normal life activities. According to one news broadcast, he was not able to engage in sex. So, not that that's the end of the world, but just to give you an idea of how bad he was fucked up. A lot of you guys will be half dead, but when there's pussy on the line, you will fucking perk right up. So, in his case, even pussy couldn't motivate him to fulfill his responsibilities to his female companion. So apparently he went to a commune in Hawaii, and some people say he lost his mind, although I failed to see any evidence of this. He wrote up a manifesto, which is basically a derogatory way of putting someone down. It's pejorative, kind of like saying someone's a conspiracy theorist because they know you're full of shit. It's a form of gaslighting. So he basically wrote up an explanation of his behavior before he did it. Guy gets a fake ID, gets a gun, and commits what some would say would have been the perfect murder. He hunted down and killed Brian Thompson, who's the CEO of United Healthcare, which was not his health insurance company. But Brian is the figurehead, the symbolic leader of the most evil insurance company, United Healthcare. And I say most evil, that's my opinion, because they deny the most claims. And I believe that what he wanted to do is act as a martyr and bring to light how bad things have gotten, that he has to do this. And it was a symbolic thing. And I think the motive, the outcome he was looking for, is that this would open the floodgates, that it would allow people who are part of that industry to feel that their time has come, that judgment is upon them, and that the people of America will strike out and will start assassinating people who are part of the healthcare industry because of how evil it is. Now, I'm a doctor, and so I know how evil the healthcare industry is. I don't work for a hospital. They're evil. I don't take insurance. They're evil. And I don't trust the pharmaceutical companies. I see them as evil as well. Most of you were old enough who are watching this that you lived through 2021, 2020, 2021, 2022, and you realize how much we were lied to and gaslit by certain authorities and who profited. And I could talk about that till I'm blue in the face, but I'll just get this video taken down because of the censorship that's prevalent. Maybe after January 6th, this type of rampant censorship will be decreased. But in the last 4 years, we've seen the most censorship America's ever seen.
Greetings, Earthlings! Like, subscribe, and share this video. Share with a friend. Share with enemies. Share with people who think they know everything. I am a medical doctor, and I could be your doctor. Click the link in the description box. I can order you blood work. I can read the blood work. I can treat any illnesses. Basically, it's like an HRT clinic that's a one-man army. Also, I do coaching. Dr. Karina Dodson and I have a coaching business called Apex Coaching. So if you sign up with me, you get coaching, which is nutrition, programming, competition prep, or lifestyle coaching, as well as all the medical stuff. So you have two doctors in one business. It's going to be contest prep, the nutritionist, the programming person, and the doctor all in one. You can't beat it. It's integrated. It works the best that way. You'll love it. Make sure to do it. Click the link in the description box.
So, and that was partly so that a certain thing could be sold, despite whether it was useful or was being forced upon the correct people. Now, hero or villain, what is Luigi? This is a complex issue. So let me give you some insight into my perspective. The health insurance companies deny coverage even when they should be granting it. And here's why. The idea is it's a business and they don't care. They don't give a fuck about you, and they have no sense of right or wrong or honor. The concept that you're paying money in advance so that if something happens to you, you're covered because the medical insurance bills are medical bills at hospitals are too high. Prescription medication costs are too high. What people don't understand, the reason why prescription coverage here is expensive relative to even Canada. So, for example, insulin. Insulin's like $1 a unit. For me to get 1,000 units of Lantus here at my local Walmart, it's going to be $1,000. So what Walmart, and in Canada, that same amount of Lantus is $160. So it's 6 times more expensive to go to the pharmacy than it is for me to order it from Windsor, which is 5 extra minutes from the Detroit borders Windsor. So I can get medication mailed in across a river from Canada for cheaper than if I get it here in the US. It's the same medication. So it's the same thing here is you could get real Lantus, the same exact bottle from Canada as from the US. It's 6 times more money here. And you're probably going to ask, like, why is that? And other companies aren't as evil. For instance, Walmart makes insulin that's like $28 a bottle. They have their own brand of insulin to cut these assholes out. So the reason why pharmaceuticals cost so much money isn't the pharmaceutical companies are greedy. You've been told it's because they invest billions of dollars into research and development and the patent expires, so they only have so much time to make their money back. That really isn't the truth. The prices are driven up by something called a placement company, and the placement companies are basically controlled by the health insurance companies. So it's a racket. Basically what's happening is the health insurance companies are driving up the costs of your medication so high you could never afford them without health insurance. Then the health insurance is supposed to pay for the medication, but they don't pay the same price. They don't pay $1,000 for 1,000 units of Lantus. They pay like $15 to $20 for that same 1,000 units of Lantus. So they pay the pharmaceutical companies. The placement companies take that money for the most part, but then the placement companies, I believe, are owned by the pharmaceutical companies, by the health insurance companies anyway. So in the end, the pharmaceutical company gets the same money whether you bought it from Canada or the US. They're not the ones driving the price up. They don't see a better profit. It's the placement companies that are making all the money, and the placement companies are making the money off of the markup because they are some form of extension or in cahoots with the health insurance companies. Hospitals. Why is hospital things so expensive here and not in Canada? Why is an ER visit here 30 grand, whereas if the same person went to the ER in Canada, it's like a couple $100? It's because the health insurance companies only pay like 25, 30 cents on the dollar. So in order for the hospitals to get paid what they want, they have to triple the cost of everything. Now, it's considered insurance fraud if the hospitals charge people without insurance less money than if they charge someone who has insurance. So this is intentional by the health insurance companies, not the hospitals, that the health insurance companies are doing this so that you have no choice but to have health insurance. You can't afford not to have health insurance. Now they've got you both ways. You can't afford medicine and you can't afford surgery. You have to buy the health insurance to get either medicine or surgery. And so then, now that you've paid them and they've gotten their money, do you know what they do? They don't fucking pay out. They know that you're fucked. And then there's accountants, and we learn this in medical school. This is true for hospitals, and this is true for health insurance. And someone will try to say that this is slander or libel. This is my personal experience about what I learned in medical school about how hospitals operate. So this isn't a factual claim. I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying this is what I learned in medical school. And if you didn't go to medical school, my expert opinion trumps yours, according to any sane individual. So that the hospitals have accountants that are usually the board of directors are accountants, and they decide that if you try to treat every patient based on that patient and what that patient needs, the way medicine is practiced in every other country in the world, then we would have a great healthcare system. But we can save money by treating everyone the exact same, that there's a procedure and you just follow the procedure. And 10% of the time, the procedure is not going to work. And of that 10%, some of those people will die. And of the percentage of the people that die, only some will sue if you have a very socially adept doctor. That's why they have people like the doctor you see who's got bedside manner, who talks to you. And then it's someone like me who does the surgery, someone who doesn't have bedside manner. Is that once they give you that thing, they go count back from 10, 10, 9. Then that guy leaves the room and someone like me comes in who has no social skills. And I'm the one who actually does the job. So what's funny is the amount of money the hospital has to pay out on malpractice lawsuits when somebody dies, and of the people that die, of those who still sue, because they don't want to sue a charming doctor. So when they like their doctor, when they like the guy who sold them the surgery, when they like the guy they think is doing the surgery, they don't want to sue him when their family member dies because they believe him when he lies to them and says it wasn't their fault. But it usually is. And so what they do is they save money by letting people die because they're convinced you, out of the goodness of your heart, won't sue the doctor you like, even though they knew ahead of time that this procedure wasn't the right procedure for this specific patient. It's just hospital policy to treat everyone the same. This applies to medicine, that you may be getting the same drug protocol that everyone else gets, even though it doesn't apply to you. We saw this with a particular mandated injection that went around and killed lots of people. And you didn't see it the way I saw it, because I had doctors and nurses calling me and getting consults with me saying, Dr. Lee, I'm really scared. A lot of my friends are dying, and I've been forced to sign paperwork saying I won't disclose that my coworkers are dying. I don't want to do this. I'm afraid I'm going to die. I'm like, fucking quit. Don't risk it. And so that's the bottom line, is that the hospitals treat everyone the same. And whether it's medication, there's a fucking algorithm where, is the patient like this? Yes. Then you go to the next step. Does the patient have this? Next step. This is the appropriate medication. And these are called insurance company formulas. So then if they fail this treatment, then you escalate to this medication. If they fail this treatment, then you escalate to this medication. So the third medication is the right medication, but the insurance company won't cover that medication unless you fail both of the previous steps. And this happens all the time, where they just deny you coverage even though you jump through all the hoops. And then you have to call them and sit on the phone with them. And then they lost paperwork. And there's a certain amount of legal time in every step, like 30 to 60 days before they're obligated to advance the clock. And that the idea is behind the health insurance company is that they want you to die. Because if you're dead, you can't sue them. So that they run the clock down so that you run out of time before they end up having to pay, then they don't have to pay shit. So you paid them for health insurance and then they don't give you the coverage. So this to me is evil. I could understand it if people be like, we live in such a civilized country and there's so much money here. I can't believe a 2-year-old girl is going to die because her parents doesn't have the money for the operation. That's shitty, but at least that makes sense. If you can't pay, you can't play. But these motherfuckers did pay. People are paying for this health insurance. And when it's terminal, they hold the money back, hoping you die so that they don't have to pay. And it's fucking evil. So this man, Luigi Mangione, was like, you know what? I'm going to take matters in my own hand. I'm going to stand up to these forces of evil and I'm going to kill a figurehead. Maybe this guy didn't pull the trigger, but he's the CEO of the biggest health insurance company that denies the most claims. So in the end of the day, if you know anything about leadership, it's the leader who's responsible. If we're in an operating room and I'm the surgeon, if the nurse fucks up and kills the patient, I'm still responsible. If the anesthesiologist kills the patient, the anesthesiologist is responsible because that's a doctor. But if it's a nurse anesthetist that kills the patient, it's the anesthesiologist that isn't even there, that is the supervisor of the nurse anesthetist that killed the patient, that's responsible. The doctor is always responsible for what happens. That's what's called the burden of leadership. So when you're the CEO, you're the leader of the company. You're the CEO, chief executive officer. You're the chief. Whatever happens at the company, you're to blame. If that company gets sued, you're going to be named in the indictment or the lawsuit. You are responsible because you're the leader. So he held this man, Brian Thompson, responsible for the actions of his corporation. Because whether it's Brian's fault or not, whether he was just hired in and there was policies in place dictated by accountants and board of direction members, like in these circumstances, we're going to withhold treatment. Like, oh, if these people are poor and they can't afford a lawyer and they're diabetic, we're going to withhold their insulin so that they die. And then they can't, their family is going to be poor. They won't be able to sue us. Poor people are helpless because they don't have the resources to hire a lawyer to sue big corporations. This is the case, is the healthcare industry is completely broken. It's evil as fuck. The patients are getting shafted. It's not even healthcare, it's disease management. They make that clear to us in medical school also. It's like, you're not there to make the patient healthy. You're there to manage the disease. You're not supposed to cure them because if they're healthy, the hospital and the pharmaceutical company doesn't make any money. You're supposed to keep them sick, but just a little bit better. You're supposed to pull back on the symptoms so they feel better and they come to you to avoid a feeling of pain. So how is that different from a drug dealer when you go to the drug dealer to feel good? And then eventually you're addicted and you just need the drug to feel normal. So you're going to the drug dealer to not feel like shit. That you go to the drug dealer to avoid withdrawals. So then people are going to the doctor to avoid the withdrawal of the medication their body needs to feel normal, because the disease is never cured. The symptoms are managed. And all of that's evil, but it's nowhere near as evil as withholding the money that you're entitled to so that they can hope you die or give up and they never have to pay you. So is Luigi a hero for killing Brian Thompson? Did Brian Thompson deserve to die? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, Brian. Some people need killing, and I don't know whether he fits the bill or not. And people are like, hold on, wouldn't you agree Hitler needed killing? wouldn't you agree Osama bin Laden needed killing? So there, and I'm not saying Brian Thompson is as bad as those guys, but I'm saying there is a spectrum of asshole, and some people at the extreme end of asshole that are like evil as fuck. The world's better off without them. And if they were killed sooner, more people would be alive today. So if someone killed Brian Thompson 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and someone who was good, like Luigi, was in charge of United Healthcare, and they actually awarded people the money they're fucking entitled to, how many people would be alive today? How many people are dead because of Brian Thompson? 100, 1,000, 100,000? We don't know how many people are dead because of Brian Thompson. We know there's one person who's dead because of Luigi. And by killing Brian Thompson, is that going to scare other health insurance companies to start paying out? Like, if you fuck over people, the wrong person is going to find you and kill you. So you better stop fucking people over. So being like the Punisher and holding this guy accountable, I mean, that's why so many people think he's a hero. I mean, I have this for a reason, is that I believe in vigilanteism. I think when the law is broken and the law is designed to protect the criminals and at the expense of the innocent people, then if somebody rises up and protects the people from the people who are bribing the government and the politicians to make these evil laws, I mean, anyone who's watching this channel is pro TRT, if not pro steroids. I mean, obviously, you think that it's evil and wrong that anabolics and testosterone are controlled substances. The DEA, the FDA, every three-letter organization testified in Congress 30 or 40 years ago that these should not be Schedule 3 drugs. They shouldn't even be scheduled. They don't meet the definition of a controlled substance. They're not emotional drugs of abuse. They're not addictive the same way heroin or cocaine is. There's no reason for these drugs to be criminalized, but Biden and his cronies made them illegal anyway because they wanted to get the votes. And this is the same thing as these health insurance companies use lobbyists to bribe politicians, and that prevents the laws from changing and allows the laws to go bad, which lets these health insurance companies get away with things. So people are not supposed to be afraid of the government. The government is supposed to be afraid of its people. That's why we have guns. And by the way, I want to clarify, don't clip this shit and then resell it out of context. I'm saying what Luigi's message is by my interpretation. I'm not saying I will find you and kill you. I'm saying someone like Luigi will find you and kill you according to what his statement was. When he killed Brian Thompson, he's making a statement. It's like, if you're going to deny coverage and ruin people's lives after they paid you to cover them, then there will be justice, and there will be street justice. There will be vengeance. There will be that vigilante like me, Luigi, not me, Todd Lee, will take care of you. And this should scare people who are in that industry, the health insurance industry, to slow their fucking roll with ripping people off and start making good on their commitments. Again, we don't need health insurance. It's not good for anything anymore. It's corrupt and evil. That you want surgery, you pay for surgery. And if you can't afford surgery, there should be some type of Medicaid for you. If you can't afford medication, the medication you want, then there's Medicaid for you. If people are, and then here's the other thing, is that if you're over a certain bracket of income, then you can pay to have Medicaid. But that it is, and I know what you're like, that's socialized medicine. I was like, well, although I don't believe in socialism, we have socialized public schools, we have socialized postal service, we have socialized fire departments, we have socialized police, we also have private schools, we have private mail like UPS, and people pay for those things. And then we have private security forces. So there's nothing wrong with having the generic, the economy option that's covered by your taxes. And then there's you want to pay extra for something even better. Well, you get to keep this, but you get this on top of it. Because I'll tell you, Medicaid is way better than any insurance you can pay for. That the Medicaid is so much better than all of the other insurance companies that you pay for. The best thing you could do is show no income, be on Medicaid, and just, and I'm not saying to grift the government. I'm not saying that it's wrong, that it's right to pretend to be poor. But the only way to get good health care is to be poor. The Medicaid's so much better than the private companies. Normally it's the other way around. The government sucks, the private companies are better. So you want to pay extra to get that. But that's not how we have right now. We have an amazing Medicaid system and an abysmally bad options for people who make over 12 grand a year. If you make over 12 grand a year, you have to pay for private insurance, and it fucking sucks because they don't pay out for anything. What we need is to have it so that you pay into Medicaid based on your income, and that would be a huge amount of money for the government to use for whatever they like to use it for, like selling weapons to countries so they can hurt people, but if they were to actually allocate the money appropriately and help people in like Hawaii or South Carolina, that would be even better than, buying weapons to blow up people in other countries. But anyway, so I am not, for the record, I'm not endorsing Luigi. I'm not saying Luigi should go around killing people. I'm not saying you should go around killing people. I'm not saying I'm going to go around killing people. That maybe there's a better way. I do see the people who work for health insurance companies as, in general, if they're not personally evil, they're culpable for evil actions of their organization. It's like if a Nazi soldier says, well, I never shot any Jews in the head. It's like, you were there. You drove the men around who did the killing. You were part of an organization that was committing genocide, killed 20 million people, 6 million Jews, or whatever the numbers are. That, like you were evil by association. And so, and I know you're going to say, like, health insurance companies aren't the Nazi party. Where are you going to go with the Nazi thing? I'm trying to use our culture's clearest example of evil, and that based off of a very clear association. Like, okay, we want to go with something else. Suicide bombers. Well, I didn't blow anyone up. It was like, you made the fucking bomb. You literally made the fucking bomb. So the guy who made the bomb didn't kill anybody. No, but he made the bomb. It's like if the guy didn't have the bomb, he wouldn't be able to detonate the bomb and kill people. So you were culpable for those deaths. You're involved. I'm giving you two examples of really evil organizations. Organizations designed around hurting and killing innocent people to scare other people into compliance. And that's what health insurance companies do. They drive up the prices on medicine and they drive up the prices on surgery. So people are so scared, they give the health insurance company all their money. And then the health insurance companies doesn't give them the medication and doesn't give them the surgery. It's evil as fuck. At least the Nazis and the terrorists are straightforward. If you're an infidel and you're haram, I'm going to blow you up. It's like, okay, you know what you're getting with the suicide bomber. With the health insurance company, you're like, hey, we know you're worried about your little kids and something could really happen to them. Why don't you give us all your money? And then if something happens to your little kids, we'll take care of them. And then you give them the money and, and they run off with it. And then your kids die. That's worse. That's more evil. That the Nazis were following orders and the suicide bombers believed in something, whether it was stupid or evil, that's a matter of debate. At least they believed in something. The insurance companies, they don't believe in anything other than hurting you. So that's why I think Luigi did what he did. And that's why so many people consider Luigi a hero. I don't know enough about it. I know that my gut instinct is to, get a new Luigi tattoo. I got Frank Castle over here, Luigi Mangione over here. I mean, they're both Italian. And, it's like that. If anything, I'm leaning towards getting a Luigi tattoo. But I want to wait until the trial's over and hear all of the details. I want to know every nook and cranny in and out of the situation. All right. For once, I do want to hear what you think. Please leave a comment about your opinions below. May the force be with you. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Fusion Regenerative Therapies, where I am the Director of Human Performance. This is the practice in which I practice medicine. We will be able to order you blood work and read your blood work and help you with therapy as needed based upon the results of your blood work. Please click the link to get a consult with me, and I can help you optimize your performance. Thank you.